Welcome to episode 7 of Beer with Alan. I'm Alan and have had over 3,500 different beers since I started tracking back in 2014. I use the app called Untapped to track, so look me up there under Beer with Alan to see the beers I've tried. Send me a friend request on there if you're interested. Today we're going to be talking with Melis, also known as the Girl with Beer, who is a great content creator who talks about beer as well as fitness, just like someone else you might know. Before we get to that, here's the regular rundown. My current beer count is 3,541. My count didn't grow as much as you'd think this past weekend, as I was at a beer festival and I never count tasters, which I had a lot of. I did have some beer on Thursday while traveling, so that made up for some of it. Next is the best beer that I had since the last episode. There are 2 beers that I want to mention here, but again, they were both tasters, so I still need to have a full one of each of these to really know. The Veil from Richmond, Virginia, who hosted this festival, had a beer there called Starve Exhibit J, which is the newest in a long-time series of theirs. The Exhibit H was my top beer of 2024, and this one was also fantastic. A blend of barrel-aged barley wines. So good. The other one was a sherry barrel-aged version of Dogfish Head's Old School barley wine. I never had a sherry barrel-aged beer before, and it was such an interesting flavor. I really loved that, and I recommended it to a bunch of people during the festival. Recent good runs. While in Richmond for the Forever Summerfest, I ran along and across the James River on the Virginia Capitol Trail. It was a really nice run, even though it was incredibly humid that morning. I believe you can take that trail all the way down to Jamestown from Richmond. That would be quite a run. I don't think I could quite manage that. I'm not sure how many miles it is, but I'm guessing it's an awful lot. The course I ran on a bridge. I came back over. There's a lot of kind of in and out and weird turns on the beginning part of the trail as you're still in the main part of the city. But eventually you get down onto the actual trail, and it's just a really nice run, much of it along the water, which always makes for a nice morning. So I did enjoy that a lot. Next, marathon plans. I did make maybe a possible slight adjustment in this. I've been talking recently on each episode about the fact that I've been zeroing in on the Rehoboth Beach Marathon, which again, I did just back in 2024. So it's been, I guess, quite a short time since the last one to do it again. Maybe a very quick repeat. It's still very possible, but I think I've been not locking in on it because I've been maybe wanting to try something, either a brand new one I haven't done before, or one that I have done, but longer ago than 2 years ago. So the one that I'm looking at right now is the Virginia Beach Marathon, which doesn't happen until March. Now, normally I do a marathon in every calendar year. Waiting until March, obviously, would leave 2026 without a marathon. But so I'm not really sure about waiting until March, but there is a lot of appeal to that Virginia Beach Marathon. Again, not the least of which is that I haven't done it before. Waiting a few months wouldn't really be a big deal. I don't need to be so regimented about that. So I am giving it some thought. In the world of sports, the end of the World Cup was great, with Spain winning the whole thing in impressive fashion. I had said before the tournament started that I thought Spain or France would be the winner, so it wasn't much of a surprise that Spain ended up taking the whole thing. They were really impressive throughout the entire tournament. What did they let up? 1 goal or something close to that the entire time. It was really amazing. I really enjoyed the entire thing. Now, the Phillies are still very up and down, and quite down at the moment. I think they've lost 9 of their last 12. We'll see what they do at the trade deadline, if anything. There's a lot of things being rumored. I don't know. Dave Dombrowski, who is the GM, he gets a lot of credit for being aggressive in these situations. We'll see. I'm not so sure being aggressive is smart for the Phillies because I'm not sure this team really has what it takes to win the whole thing, but I guess we'll see. Philadelphia Union of Major League Soccer They have won their first two games after the World Cup break, after only winning one game all season up to that point. So things are looking up for this second half. Hopefully, the team will get back to where we expected them to be before the season started. And as an added note on soccer, I am going to the Leeds Sunderland match, the friendly tonight in North Jersey. Today's Thursday, and I'm very excited for that. I've never seen Leeds live before, even though I've been a fan for a long time. So I am really excited for that. And for upcoming trips. So my next trip is up to Penn State. That'll be the first weekend in September against Marshall on September 5th. Always have a great time up there. I'll certainly see a brewery or two while I'm there. Hopefully meet some folks who listen to the podcast or watch my videos. That usually happens up at Penn State. So they always just have a wonderful time there. It's a great place to visit. Okay, so joining me today on the podcast is another beer content creator, and her name is Melis. She is also known as the Girl with Beer. And I met Melis about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more than that, in Amsterdam when we were both guests of Heineken for a little media blitz they were doing for that particular year. So welcome, Melis, to the podcast.
Thanks, Alan, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It's great to have you. Um, what was your? I'm remembering back to that Amsterdam trip, and I think about the fact that it was kind of my first real travel after starting making content. Was it the same for you, or had you already done some travel at that point?
I had done some travel for sure. I went to Ireland with Guinness and I went with another beer brand to Scotland before. And this was my second time in Amsterdam, but first time with like a brand. So, and then I've also gone to Panama for Bukete Brewing, but like kind of on a personal level, and then became friends with the owners and like we've been friends since. So I have, in terms of like brand trips because of my content, been on a few of them, and then just personally I love traveling. That's why I have this account. Like that's why my niche is beer and travel, and then I have my second account, Melis Around the World, to showcase what I do without beer as well. So
Oh, right. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about the fact that your primary content, the content that I'm mostly familiar with,
mhm.
is somewhat similar to mine in a certain way, in that it's beer focused, but also kind of fitness related.
Right.
And I don't do a lot of the fitness stuff on my channel, but I am a runner, and I talk a fair bit about running. And when I go somewhere to do a marathon, I try to make some marathon related content and all of that.
Mhm.
But I also love to travel, but I don't know that I've done a lot of travel related content other than here's where I am and here's the beer I'm going to have in this great place, that sort of thing. So of those three things, of the beer and the fitness and the travel, kind of what's your favorite to do content about?
That's a tough question to answer. I love all three pillars just because it gives me freedom. I I believe in like balance, obviously. Like when people think about beer drinkers, or at least when I first really started my account, it's like you sit on the couch and drink beer kind of thing, and like you're not in shape. You can be in shape. You can enjoy more than just beer, especially for women. I think because it's so high calorie that like us women, we're supposed to drink like seltzers or like white wine or whatever. Like beer doesn't have gender, but we are assigned certain things, unfortunately. And for me, I think it shows the balance between the two. You can totally be fit and you can enjoy beer. Actually, you can balance both fairly easily when you prioritize both like health and fitness and just having freedom to eat and drink whatever you want. And I feel like the fitness part, especially like building muscle, really helps me keep more balanced because I can eat and drink more because I have more muscle than I did before. And like you kind of need more calories to sustain that muscular body than if I
Right.
were to not do it at all. And then the travel just kind of comes together. I mean, I've been traveling since I was a child. My parents are really into travel. Like I was born in England to Turkish parents. So like they were already living abroad. And then when I was 8 years old, we immigrated to Canada. I grew up both in Canada and the US because of my mom's job. And then like when I became an adult, I moved around, I traveled a lot. So it's been in me for a very long time. And I think one of the coolest ways to discover a new place is through their food and drink. And beer, especially, is like when you go to Germany, Belgium, like those are obviously classic beer countries. But then in the States, we have so much more experimental beers and more fun to be had around beer. And some places are just so stunning that you like breweries, you want to go check them out, or you've heard so much about their beers that you want to go check them out. And I love, as much as I love discovering things in my own city, I also love just sitting at a bar somewhere totally new, whether with my partner, with myself, with my girlfriends. It's so much fun. So I can't say like I like posting about one thing only, but I think having more than just one interest in or one niche in this particular space has allowed me to have a little bit more freedom. And I know sometimes people get burnt out, like content creators kind of get burnt out of posting the same thing. Like, I'm drinking this beer, let me talk about it. I'm drinking this beer, let me talk about it. But when you have a little bit more of a mix in your content, it it gives you more freedom, and it makes it easier to show up online and share all that. I'm sorry, I
Definitely.
talk a lot.
No, no, that's all right. I do too. Don't worry about it. It's helpful for a podcast, believe me.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree with you. Every once in a while, I'll throw out a video that has nothing to do with beer. It's complaining about football or some other sport, something I was watching, the World Cup. Because these are things I'm passionate about, and I figure, parts of my audience might be interested, parts of it might not. But I think it's good to mix it up, to have different things to talk about. Certainly, travel, even if you're talking about the same core subject, you're going to have different content from it because you're
Mhm.
going to so many different places, and I love doing that as well. And I guess for you, um, in addition to just traveling, you said you've moved around a lot.
Yeah.
I think about in the brief time that we've known each other, and there may be more than this. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I remember you lived in like Vancouver, right?
Uh-huh.
And you
Uh-huh.
were in Sonoma, and maybe there
Uh-huh.
was a New York in there
Uh-huh. Yeah,
too,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And now Texas,
Yeah.
right? And that's in a very short amount of time.
That's
So
in like 2 year period. Yeah, I moved from Vancouver to New York City for very brief time, and then from there to Napa, Napa to now Dallas,
I had the
and
wrong
then
wine country, but I was close.
that's all right. Close enough,
Yeah.
but oh yeah, and that's just in the last couple of years. So
Meanwhile, I have lived in the same house for over 20 years. I guess 21 years
wow.
we've been here now. So, yeah, I have not moved around much in my life. I was away when I was in college, and then I lived in Florida for a few years after college. But other than that, the Philadelphia area has
Mhm.
been my home for my whole life. How did you get into making content? Like, how did that start with you?
Yeah, so it started outside of beer actually. So it was the first time I moved to Texas. I lived in Houston at the time, and I was consuming a lot of YouTube videos on like beauty, hair, like girly things, and I started a YouTube channel actually in Turkish because my first language is Turkish, but I don't get to practice it. So I started making those videos and then posting on Instagram. And then I started getting into beer. But whenever I would post anything beer related on my other account, I would get weird comments like, this isn't what we followed you for. Are you an alcoholic? Why are you always drinking beer? This is weird. So I started to separate the two, and I started the Girl with Beer, where I just focused on, in the beginning, like showcasing women who were drinking beer. And then I noticed that like when it was my original content, I was getting more engagement out of it. So I just started focusing on just posting my original content about myself. So it came out of a place of consuming a lot of content, but also being really new into a city and just not having a lot of friends. And I was spending a lot of time online. So I thought I'd start creating it. And I still have my other account. I don't post like my Turkish videos anymore, but that helped me practice my language, make some new friends, kind of get into the social media space. And then with the Girl with Beer, I kind of I have a hard time balancing the two a lot of times because like I'll heavily create on the Girl with Beer and then take some time and then create on Melis around the world and then take some time, and then I just haven't figured out how to balance the both at the same time. So sometimes one
Yeah.
account suffers more than the other, but
That
the
seems
Girl
like
with
that
Beer,
would be hard. Yeah.
yeah, and then the Girl with Beer is more, it is my bigger account. It is where I'm mostly showing up on, but I do find that having a secondary channel is really nice because I can talk about other things I have passions about, like my hair and makeup and clothes and like fitness outside of just sprinkling it into the Girl with Beer. So, yeah. And then I also really focused on the beer content because at the time I wanted to work in the beer industry in marketing. I have a marketing background. I had the experience, but I just didn't have experience within the industry. So I just wanted to showcase, like, I wanted to use it as a portfolio to showcase, hey, I have an interest in this topic. I can speak about beer. I can enjoy beer. I like, this is my passion. Let hire me. So I did end up working for a brewery for a little bit. And then um, it, when you're both doing your full time job in beer, your side hustle, your passion, your hobbies, all in the same kind of category, you do get burnt out. So when I moved to Vancouver, I pivoted careers and started working in a different industry, still in digital marketing. That helps kind of reignite the passion for creating content about beer again because I was getting a little burnt out when it was literally in every aspect of my life. So I think having a balance outside of beer was really nice.
Yeah, I can see
But
that. That
yeah, I long story long, I started because I love just sharing online and creating a community and having people that talk about the same things because in real life you may not find someone to talk about this beer for 20 minutes with, but online you do. So there's a there's a
it's
place for
true.
everyone online.
It's funny you said that thing about people saying, "Well, why are you talking about this? Are you an alcoholic?" Or that I I I see that question posed to me,
Oh,
multiple times every single day. um,
I actually was really curious about that because I'll get that comment every once in a while. It's either you're a poser, you don't even drink beer, or you're an alcoholic. And I'm like, I can't be both at the same time. So pick one. But
right.
I was curious if, you know, creators like yourself get the get those comments too. Like, is this just reserved for women in this space, or
Yeah,
do you guys get it
no,
too?
all the time, and I mean, look, I don't care. People, it's I suppose it's a very internet sort of thing to say, to
Mm-hmm.
ask. It's accusatory and judgmental all at the same time, and yet there may be some people who genuinely wonder, like, if you're talking about beer
Mm-hmm.
every day. I'm very open about the fact that I only drink on Fridays and Saturdays, and
Mm-hmm.
and unless I'm on vacation or something like that. If I'm traveling to make content and it's not a Friday or Saturday, well, a lot of times I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
need to, you know just depending on what day it is. I just came back from Richmond, Virginia. I was at a beer festival down there, and I was traveling on a Thursday, and so I made some content with actual beer on the Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't typically do that. I suppose my audience generally, has heard this so much that often when somebody in the comments asks, "Are you an alcoholic?" somebody else will answer for me,
Yeah.
and it sort of clarify that point for the person who's asking, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. I think,
Do you
there's no
find
real.
that it do you find that it comes on videos that kind of go viral, or like it's not usually coming from someone who follows you?
Yeah,
Or do you even check?
yeah, I don't think I look into it to that level, and honestly, not knowing how the algorithms work, even my standard videos, which I wouldn't, consider viral, but they all get a
Mm,
pretty good number of views. Um, you still get a pretty good percentage of people seeing the video that are not followers.
mhm.
I don't know really how that works, and why more of my followers don't see all the videos.
Oh, I know.
I sometimes wonder what's the point of following somebody if you don't get to see all their videos.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. That's just sort of the way that stuff works out. But yeah, there are always people who are going to be negative, and I sort of, just try not to pay any attention to it. So of all these various things you're doing, if you had, for some reason, it's one of these great hypotheticals, if you had to
Mhm.
pick one of your things and you could only make content focus on one of them, be it beer or fitness or travel, which would you pick?
Alan, you're asking all these hard questions, hard-hitting questions. Because I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, travel would be kind of easy, but then, we had the pandemic when we couldn't travel. So then what would I make content about? Fitness, like, oh, I guess I could, but it's kind of saturated. And also, like, I never focus on one kind of form of fitness. So maybe it would be cool to keep switching up. And then beer, like, that's so just easy to drink because it's tasty and I could just sit at home and drink it, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess since my account's called The Girl with Beer, I'm gonna go with beer.
Okay. All right. Well, that's an answer I can appreciate, certainly. Um, yeah, I don't know that I could make a whole channel just about running. I mean, I could. I can talk. Any runner can talk about running, but um, I feel like while I have a lot of experience, I've run a lot of marathons, all that kind of thing. I don't know that I have that much advice to give people about running. I just do it, and I do it my way, and I don't
Hmm.
know that that would work for everybody else.
Do
Um,
you
I,
consume any running content online? Like, do you watch runners' videos, their trainings?
Very little, but then again, I consume very little content of any
Mm,
kind. I'm just not much of a, video watcher. Most of the videos I watch, are people I know, and outside of
yeah.
that, I don't spend a whole lot of time doing it. So, and I especially hate when I, like, if I'm on like my personal account and I come
Mm.
across like my own beer videos, just get rid of that. Like, I don't want
I
to see
know.
that at all.
I hate hearing myself talk in a video.
Exactly.
Or like
Eh,
one time
yeah.
I was at a brewery and I was sitting like next to someone I didn't really know, but the person across from me who was a friend knew him. So like we were just sitting next to each other and I glanced over at his phone and he had just come across a photo of me that another like content creator had posted with us both together. And I was like, ew, that's me. And then I just like turned my head. Like I didn't mean to be looking at his phone, but like you glance over and you see your own face in on someone else's screen. You're like, oh, I know this is what I want. Like I know people. When you create content, like you want people to find you, to follow you, to engage, to be like part of your community. But when it's next to you, you're like, ah, what are you doing?
Yeah. That's definitely a weird thing. And I obviously you got to be comfortable making the content, but
Mm,
actually watching yourself. Like, I don't have to do a whole lot of editing on my actual regular videos. They're pretty simple and straightforward. But like, I have to edit this podcast, which means I have to keep hearing my voice and all of that. And yeah,
yeah.
I don't love that. Um, so, of the places you've traveled, what's the favorite place that you've gone to specifically to make content, as opposed to just
Mm.
general traveling that you've done?
There are several places that come to mind. I would say St. Pete, Florida was one of them, because I went there twice with their travel board, and there's just so many breweries out there like that are making great beers, but also I love a little beach coastal town. And um first time I went, no, both times actually, I went with Mel, Work for Your Beer. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her account. The first time it was just the two of us. The second time it was both us and our partners together. So it was just like such a great time. And I feel like the company you keep and just the experiences you have make a place even better than it is. But like objectively, I think there's so much to do in St. Pete, and it's really beautiful out there. Another spot I would say, I went to Brussels. Oh gosh, it's been so many years. I would say my company wasn't the greatest, but I felt like it's such a beautiful city, and also like such great beers, especially when you're a lambic drinker. So
Yeah.
that was awesome.
I was just there a few
Um,
weeks ago.
I know. I like, you know what? Like, there's not a whole lot of things I feel envious about when I see people post about, except for travel, especially to places I either want to go to or have been and just desperately want to go back to. And I was like, and you were also in France too, right?
Hmm.
Recently, like in that same
Yeah.
trip. And I love
Yeah.
like, um, going to Europe. I know people hate it when you say Europe, say the country's name, but it's like when we go from North America to Europe, it's never one country we go to, right? So it's like, um, I love that you can just hop around to different countries, different cities a lot easier than out here, especially like now that I'm back in Texas, the state is huge. Like to get to
Right.
the other end of Texas is a lifetime away. So I love how easy you can travel and just go to different beer cities or cities where you can discover their beers. Yeah. And then I had such a good time in Panama. I went the first time with Is Beer a Carb? And then the second time I went solo, and then my partner came and surprised me. So he had like talked to Ale, the owner of Buqueta Brewing, and like surprised me, showed up. And I just like, I loved exploring the beer scene there, but also like the beautiful parts of Panama. Um, yeah, you asked for one. Did you ask for one place? Because I don't got one place. I like,
That's
I think
okay.
like I can just say that I haven't had too many horrible experiences, and I feel like I'm roll with the punches kind of person. So if like something doesn't go right, I'll find a way to make it better and have a good time regardless. But I think just exploring different places and putting yourself out there gives you a lot more tools in your toolbox to deal with less than
Yeah.
ideal experiences. So I
Sure.
can definitely make most situations better because of that. And I just love like being around other people who have similar interests no matter where we are in the world. So yeah, like it just, yeah, I love that beer brings people together.
Definitely. Do you think, have you found any special challenges to being a woman in the beer world? Like,
Oh,
yeah,
that's a loaded question. Yes,
yeah, I mean,
of
answer it
course.
how you want to.
No, there's definitely been so many experiences. I can't like if I got into it, this podcast would be like 3 days long. But there are challenges. Um, I'll bring this like I don't know. So I worked for a brewery for a brief amount of time in the last couple of years, and I had this conversation with the head brewer there, and I think, or like one of the brewers there, and he was kind of saying like how he tried to make his Instagram happen, and it just didn't. But when you're a girl that's cute and you know show a little skin, you get followers, and this is the thing we hear all the time as the female content creators, especially beer content creators. And I was like, oh, I just met this guy, Alan. I pulled up your account and I was like, he's a man who doesn't show skin. He just sits and talks about the beers he's talking about, and he has the most amount of followers. And this was just like briefly after I had met you. And I
Mhm.
was like, he's really nice, but like, he's a man and he literally has more followers than me. And the guy was like, and we're in a crowded bar at this time too. Like, so he's not hearing the way you're talking. He's not even hearing what you're saying. He just sees your head talking and he's like, well, I trust that guy. And I'm like, but like, why? You don't know what he said. He could literally be saying, I only drink Bud Light and that's the best beer on the planet. And everything else sucks and you suck. Like, that's what you could have been saying. And he just says, oh, I trust that guy. I'm like, okay. My point was, this man is able to create content and have way more followers than me or any other beer content creator. And he's not doing any of those things you said, but you failed to do this because you probably didn't show up consistently. You probably didn't bring anything to the table that someone else isn't already doing. But your failure is my fault for being quote unquote cute and showing a little skin. And
Right.
that's just
Yeah.
like tip of the iceberg. There's also so much like internalized misogyny within the beer industry too. Like, I feel like women feel like there's only a limited amount of seats for us, so we have to fight to keep it instead of making a bigger table to bring more women into the space. And if someone represents a little differently than you, then no, like, we're not going to mess with that kind of thing. So there's a lot of challenges, which I think is the reason why I also wanted to have my 9 to 5 to be outside of beer. Like, as much as
Hmm.
I started this account to get a job in the beer industry, once I started working in it, I was like, no, I think I like the separation and I like, having my career be a little bit different. But yeah, there's definitely so many obstacles to it, but obviously the positives outweigh that. And we also just got to and show up for ourselves as women here. I mean, another point, like I said, it would be like 3 day long podcast for you, but I just also remember, like, when I worked full time in the beer industry, someone was like, you don't represent women in beer. I'm like, I work full time in beer. My side hustle is beer. My passion, my like hobbies are in beer, and I'm showing up more consistently than anyone else right now. And you're telling me I don't represent women in beer. And like, it's because of the way I dress or the way I post. Like, I don't think I post provocatively. Like, I post in clothes I wear on a daily basis. Anyway, I'm off my little tangent here. Yeah, tip of the iceberg. There's so much that has happened in the years
Yeah.
that I've been online. But again, if the positives didn't outweigh the negatives, I wouldn't continue to show up.
Right. That's a good perspective. I certainly understand all of that, and I talk about the negativity that I see, and we touched on that a little bit briefly,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that it's not a given that anybody's going to be successful doing this sort of thing. I easily state to this day regularly that I have no idea why I've had success in this. I am very appreciative of the fact that I have. Um, but I'm I'm impressed with anybody who can be successful in this, and I think that for some people it's harder for them either because they are not taken as seriously for one reason or another, or the opposite end of that, sort of what you were saying, that some people might discount your success, attributing it to something
Mm-hmm.
unrelated to it, which kind of undermines the very sort of things that you've worked for. Um, I've met a lot of women in the beer industry. I think those numbers are growing. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that, like some other things in life, they slowly improve. I don't know, not being a woman in the beer industry, but like I said, I was just in Richmond for this beer festival this weekend, and there was an outing the day before the festival with the whole group of brewers.
Mm-hmm.
We did a rafting trip on the James River in Richmond, like a whitewater rafting thing, which was a lot of fun. And um, it was all the brewers, a whole bunch of the brewers, and me. And I wasn't entirely sure why I was there, other than that the guy who organized it, the brewery that organized it, thought that you know that it would be fun, that I would enjoy meeting them, they'd all enjoy meeting me, and so I should go along with this, which I did, and it was great. He was totally right. Um, but there were a number of women on this trip who were not there because they were with somebody else. They were there because
Mhm.
they worked for the breweries. They either were the brewers or they did other work for the breweries, and they were part of the team. And in fact, on the boat that I was on, um, it was me and two women, and then our like guide on the boat. And what I thought was great was that none of it, none of the stuff I heard people talking about, none of it was drawing lines, right? Everybody seemed equal. Everybody got along great. Everybody was just a part of the same industry.
Mhm.
And I didn't see any signs of women being treated differently than men. And I thought that was great. I thought it was really
Mhm.
a positive sign. I'm certain that that is not the way it is everywhere, but I like that at least that's the way it is in some places, and hopefully it'll continue down that road.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, but I
Again, I said
appreciate your
I
candor.
love that beer brings people together, and I think like it should also have no gender, and we're all just drinking and being happy together, and hopefully keeps getting better.
Absolutely. Different angle, different
Yeah,
topic. What's your favorite beer? What is your single favorite beer in the world?
I don't have one. I
You
get
don't have
asked this
one?
question all the time. I feel
Yeah,
like I go through phases of like fixating on a style of beer and only ordering that, only drinking that until one day I can't stand this, like the look of it. I'm gonna blame this on my ADHD because I do the same with like food. Currently, I've been back on like a West Coast IPA kick, and I also really like bourbon barrel aged stouts. I usually be like, every season is stout season. I don't care if it's hot outside. And then I moved back to Texas and I'm like, it's 100 degrees outside. So it's hard to have a patio beer that's so like delicious, but heavy. Um, I would say
drink it
also it,
inside.
yeah, exactly. Where it's like so cold too. Like the contrast between outside and indoors in like
Yeah,
this area is crazy. But I also just hard to really have a favorite beer when your local brewery keeps changing because you keep changing locations, right? So like
sure.
back in Napa, I was finding Pliny really easily, but now I probably will have a really tough time finding it here in
Yeah,
Texas.
I
So
expect you won't find it at all in Texas.
exactly. It could be like a rare bottle shop or something that I would find it, but then it wouldn't be super fresh. Like, so you gotta find new favorites. But for me, I think I would say I rotate through styles more than a favorite beer. Do you have a favorite beer?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, yeah. I've talked about it a bit here and there, and then I got to visit the brewery a few weeks ago,
Ah,
which is Saint Bernardus Abt 12, um, from obviously from the Saint Bernardus Brewery in Watou, Belgium. Um, I got to visit there on our trip. We got to stay out at the brewery, in their guest house, and it was like a
that's pretty
magical
cool.
day.
Yeah,
It really was. It was of a trip that was great top to bottom. It was our favorite day of the whole trip. It really was. It was pretty fantastic, and that beer. I've loved it for years. I will continue to love it. It's to me, it's as good as it gets.
that's awesome.
Do you have a go-to beer? Like not necessarily your favorite beer, but like,
Mm,
you're looking at a menu and if that one's there, I'm just going to get it. It's easy kind of
mm.
default beer.
No,
No?
no, I don't. I don't think
Okay.
so. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, no.
Oh, so you mentioned West Coast IPAs. Like,
Mhm.
is there a current one of those that like you've had, or something you've had recently that really stood out to you?
Oh, now I'm going blank.
That's all right.
I mean, like, uh, I've only lived here for like 2 weeks now. So like my memory, like what I have in mind right now is probably like the last beers I had while I was in Napa at
Sure.
Armistice, which is like downtown Napa.
Hmm.
Because we used to go to like trivia night there all the time. Do I remember what the beer was called? No, but
Right.
I do remember the taste and I liked
Okay.
it. So I would say like that's probably the last one in my memory currently. Because we went out to Celestial Beer Works here in Dallas like this past weekend, and
Hmm.
I went out of my comfort zone and I got a couple of sours and I got like a smoothie sour. So those are like the last beers I had, and that's in
Okay.
my mind. And
Gotcha.
the I just posted about that smoothie beer. And I'm like, I don't like that. Like it's not for me. But I
Really
feel like a few,
unusual.
yeah, a few years ago or like 5 years ago, I think I would have been like, oh, this is awesome. But now I'm like, oh, that's so sweet, and it's like literally drinking a smoothie, and this doesn't even taste like beer.
Yeah.
So
Now, just kind of regular sours, not smoothie sours, I would think
mm.
would be your type of
I
thing
like
because
like wild
you mentioned
fermented
liking
sours.
lambics.
Yep.
So
That's the
yeah.
kind of sours I like. I don't really like
Hmm.
sours that are like kettle sours very rarely. But I think I may be wrong because I just moved here, but I think finding that kind of style is a little bit more difficult. Like Jester King is in Austin, which
Hmm.
I love. I've been
Good
there a
brewery.
few
Yeah.
times. Yeah. Like their sours, love. But I guess, discover some here in Dallas, hopefully. Trial and
Yeah.
error. But yeah, like wild ales, lambics, like that I like for sure. Just
One of my
not.
only regrets from this Belgium trip that we just had was so our time in Brussels was fairly limited, and we had a whole bunch of things we were scheduled for, and we had well, for one thing, I had been invited to go out to the Three Fontainen or
Three Fontaine, yeah.
yeah, um, and it was outside the city, and the timing wasn't going to work, and we
Mm,
just weren't able to get there. And then the one afternoon, we had gone out to Duvel, and when we were finished with there, I had to make a choice. It was our last day in Brussels, and I could go back to the city and go to Cantillon,
mm-hmm,
or I could go to the nearby city of Mechelen and go to Het Anchor. And I ended up choosing to go to Het Anchor. And so I missed Cantillon completely.
mm.
And I'm still sad about it. But I'm not sad that I went to Het Anchor because that was great.
Yeah.
But I wish I had had time to do all of them. And
Well,
that didn't quite work out.
I think Three Fontaine and Cantillon are like the two big places that people go to Brussels for. And when I went, it was literally all Americans. When I was in Cantillon, it was all Americans. When I went to Three Fontaine, all Americans. And I'm like, I came, and a lot of, at the time I lived in San Diego, so there were a lot of San Diegans there too. Like people we drink with in San Diego were also there. I'm like, we came all the way to Brussels to drink with our friends from San Diego. That's funny. But you got to go back. I would say like that was
Oh yeah, I definitely will.
it's hard when you have such limited time, right? And trying to fit everything in. It's
Yeah.
hard. And then
I mean,
when
the
you only have
trip was 2 weeks long, but we went to so many places,
mhm,
and I also, I mean, my family was with me, so like I tried to not make it like, you
just
know,
beer.
here 24 hours a day. Like
Yeah.
we had other things to do as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I'll definitely get back there for sure. I really enjoyed it. And I would easily say that is my not just to visit, but the beer itself. That is my favorite beer country. Um,
Hmm.
what's your favorite beer country?
Oh, I was agreeing with you on that
Oh,
because
okay.
those are
Yeah.
the styles I like.
Yeah.
Um, I like not just the lambics and the sours, but
Mhm.
I think, yeah, I would say Belgium,
How about your favorite beer state in the U.S.?
California. Probably because I really got into beer when I lived in San Diego. So between like Southern California and Northern California, there's so many incredible breweries, and I feel like uh, I don't want to speak like too big here, but I feel like California really put craft beer on the map here. Like people might
It,
disagree with me on that, but like between the like LA, San Diego, as I said, SoCal, and then like the Russian River, and
mhm.
Lagunitas, I know they're bought out by Heineken and all that, but like those were creating some great beers. And I think there's also so many breweries to check out in the state of California. California
And
is also massive. So,
that's really the amazing thing, you know. I mean, San Diego is as far as the beer scene is incredible,
mhm,
and my daughter lives in LA. My daughter, who you met when we were
mhm,
out at Heineken, um, and so I've gotten to experience, you know, a fair number of breweries in LA. There's great stuff there, and like you said, Northern California, you know, the San Francisco area. I went out last year, year before, last year,
it all
um,
blurs
to like
together.
central California, to like
Mhm,
Fresno, Clovis. I went out there to run a marathon and to visit a bunch of breweries, and there was a bunch of great breweries there. And then I was just in Paso Robles at Firestone
mhm,
Walker,
yeah,
um, you know, back in May. People give me a hard time sometimes when I talk about California beer online, just because if you're not from California, there are a lot
yeah,
of people who like to, you know, crap on California, like, you know, for
absolutely.
whatever. But like you said, it's so big. There are so many breweries in California, and there's so many great breweries in California that if you're a beer fan, I don't care what you think about
Mhm.
the state itself. There's just a ton of great beer coming from there.
Yeah, and I'm not saying there aren't great breweries on the East Coast. Like, obviously, I'm not saying that, and like there aren't some historic or iconic breweries there. I'm just saying for myself, like I really got into beer when I lived in California, and I think California as a state is so beautiful. Most parts of it, the places I lived in. So I'm really biased, but I am also not from California. So like I'm not biased
Hmm.
because I'm from California. I just had a really
Right.
good time there, especially in the beer scene. I feel like I made so many friends when I lived in San Diego in the beer community, so it will always hold a place in my heart.
Cool. Are you a sports fan? You have like
No,
favorite teams? No, not at
no,
all.
no. I love like playing sports. I grew up playing sports, and now like I like being active, but like to sit and watch a game of any sort, I am not that cool. And I like going to sporting events. Like when I lived back in Vancouver, we'd see the Canucks like pretty often. But I think I'm there more for the vibes, like more for my friends and having a beer, watching something happening outside of our norm. But no, I don't have any favorite teams or even
Gotcha.
sports ball that I like.
I'm a bit of a, well, yeah, fan is short for fanatic, and I'm a bit of a fanatic about sports, and certainly not limited to one sport. It's most of them. Um,
Oh, so
but
is Bracken. Like he will just put on anything on the weekends. Like there's always something on the TV, sports related, and I'm like, who are you rooting for? He's like, my team isn't playing. I'm just watching this. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go now.
for me, it depends on the sport. Certain sports I can watch anybody play, and then certain sports, like if it's not my team, I don't know how often I'm putting it on. Um, but like something like the World Cup, which just ended, like
Mhm.
I watched every single game that I was able to watch. I didn't care who was playing. I just thought it was awesome to watch these teams from all over the world come together in this thing. Um, it was very cool, and soccer is kind of easy to do that with. I'm very lucky. Tomorrow night, so I'm a fan of the English Football League,
Mhm.
and my favorite team there is Leeds United, who play in the Premier League, and I've been a fan of them for a long time. In recent years, I've gotten to be able to watch them regularly because of streaming and all of that. So I pretty
Mhm.
much watch every match, but I've never seen them live. I'm going to see them tomorrow night. They're playing basically an exhibition match, a friendly, up in North New Jersey.
Oh,
Um, and I have never seen them live. So my son and I are going to that tomorrow. So very excited for that.
that's exciting. That sounds fun.
Yeah. How about running? Have you ever been a runner?
No, I've gone through like phases of getting into running. I admire you for running marathons. I've run like a 5K race before, but that's about it. I think like I would be good at running 5Ks. Anything
Yeah.
more than that, no. I'm a get it done. Like, I kind of am like marathons. Like that's a lot of miles. And
That it is.
but I do find that like if I listen to an audiobook or a podcast, I run further, but if I listen to a good playlist, I run faster. I like being a overall quote unquote athlete. So like I like lifting weights, I like doing Pilates, I like running for socialization. Like I like going to run clubs. But to do a whole marathon, I don't think I could ever do that. But now that I say that, like as soon as the runner's high hits me after I go for a run, I'm like, I could run a marathon. And then when I go back
Yeah.
running again, I'm like, I could never.
I think it takes a certain kind of psychosis,
I was
maybe.
gonna say
Um,
certain type of psychopath.
yeah, the it's funny. I started running in 2010. I had never run in my life before that, but I have never run a 5K.
Oh,
I just never have. I started running and I started building up my distance, and then the first race I did was a half marathon, and I did two of those, and then I just started doing marathons. And I
right.
did another half marathon this year for the first time, but I was running with my son. It was his first half marathon, and I was just sort of running along with him as his pacer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't really count that as my race. It was really his race. Um, but yeah, there's my wife likes to say sometimes she has run some half marathons in the past, and she said, you know, she said I've never finished one of these half marathons, and at the end been like, oh, let's do that again.
Yeah. Let's do that
Let's keep
twice.
going.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it's something I enjoy, and it's something that relaxes me when I do it. So I like that. Um, so, all right. So to wrap it up, like, what's something you want people to know about you that maybe they don't know, even if they follow you?
Mm.
Just something you'd like to tell my podcast audience, anyway.
I know I keep saying that's a hard question, but I I like I try to be as authentic as possible online, like really show my personality and put myself out there, but I also believe in like having my private life. So sometimes I'm like, maybe I could share a little bit more so people get to know more of me and not just think you know, I drink beer all day and I travel and like I have no worries in the world. But at the same time, I use social media as an escape from life sometimes. Like it's a place where you just share and then, unlike you, I consume a lot of content. So I like seeing that out there. So I would say like, I'd like to think I'm funnier than people think I am because I don't really get to see that side of me online. And honestly, like I feel like I look, sound, and act the same as I do online. Maybe it's a little bit more polished when I'm online, but like I just try to show up as authentically as possible and um, show as much of my personality as possible without, sharing too much and trying to have a balance between a creator mindset and just enjoying my life and being in the moment when I'm offline. So I hope that people who meet me in person think, oh, yeah, she's exactly what I thought she was in a good way, hopefully. And I'm also 5'1, so a lot of people assume I'm taller for some reason. I am not really sure. So the comments I've gotten when people meet me in real life is, you're so short. you're so little. Like, you're so tiny. I'm like, I
That's
don't know what
funny.
you expected.
I met you before I actually saw you online, so
Yeah.
I knew how tall you were. But I get people saying that to me sometimes too, like, "Oh, I thought you were taller." I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know
"Yeah."
why. Like, I don't try to make my angles to look taller, but I've also gotten, like, because I share some of my lifting videos, when people meet me in life, they're like, "Oh, you're, like, much smaller." Because I guess my muscles look bigger when I'm holding weight. I don't know, but, like, I'm like, yeah, I'm 5'1", like, and a quarter, and you know you're short when you gotta say the quarter.
That quarter's important.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure I've enjoyed it. I'm sure the listeners will enjoy it.
I hope
Um,
so. Thanks for
yeah.
having me. I'm about to go do a heated sculpt class in Texas. Like, why am I going to go and pay for a hot class when it's hot outside? I don't know. You know, you have running going for you, and I have hot classes.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you so much.
All
I'll
right.
see you
Thanks.
later. Bye.
Bye bye. So thanks to Melis for coming on the podcast and talking today. Thanks for listening. Like, follow, or subscribe if you can. Please leave a review or a comment. I appreciate y'all being here so much. Come back for the next one, and in the meantime, watch my videos each day on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or Facebook. Cheers.